Hi guys, I'm Shmi. Hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me taking the Ford GT just north of San Francisco up towards one of my favourite driving roads that I've ever been to before, the Panoramic Highway. But I'm going to use this as an opportunity to give you guys a bit of a garage update. Of course, I've been over here in the US with the GT now for about 5 or 6 weeks. There have been lots of things going on back home. You're all asking me about what's going on with the McLaren Senna. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. There are, of course, new cars on the horizon. The Toyota Supra and also the Mercedes-AMG GTR Pro. I'm going to tell you when those are going to be coming and the plans in store for them as well. We've also got a few other things. Loads of you have asked me about the new Corvette C8, especially given they're going to be making it in right-hand drive. And as well as all of that, what's happening with the GT? How is this tour going? What do I needed to do with it so far? What are the plans? What's going on? There's a lot actually I'd like to tell you about this trip so far and still about what's to come. So there's a lot to go through, a bit of a garage update, stretching the legs of the GT as well and heading over towards one of my favourite roads. I'm currently hiding away in this lay-by in the shade. The sun has been out in force today. It is a boiling, boiling hot day, but the views when we continue up the road that you're going to see are incredible. This place to drive is amazing. Now, of course, it's even better when you're here with a car like this. It's still boggling my mind that this car is over here to be enjoyed in the US, driving on my British plate, as you might have seen, causing a few complications along the way. And now also with the new Akrapovic exhaust system, the titanium exhaust, which is getting very, very blue inside, the way a titanium system goes when it's being used properly. But I suppose talking about an American supercar with the Ford GT can bring me on to this question about the new Corvette C8. There has of course been a ton of talk about this new car, and in fact when it was launched just over a month ago, I flew from New York to LA for about 9 hours to go and see the reveal event that was hosted in the OC, to see the car, to get to sit in it, to have a close look at that in person. And I tell you what, you've probably heard that quite a few YouTubers have placed orders to buy one. TheStradman, you've got Streetspeed717, Emelia from DDE, and I'm sure there are more that I haven't thought of right at this second. Would I be interested? Because tons of you have been asking me. Well, that car, even if you spec it up, it goes from the base of $60,000 to what is it, about $75,000, $80,000. The amount of bang for buck in the C8 is insane. And they also announced at the reveal that the car is going to be available in right-hand drive. That means we can get it over in the UK markets. We could get the current C7 generations, the likes of the Z06, the Grand Sport, but there weren't that many of them. They're always left-hand drive, so the fact that it's going to be right is really, really quite exciting. I don't know when they're going to come out, I don't know when we'll get pricing, I don't know when there will be deliveries, but maybe in the future that could be one to watch. Anyway, I think we should jump in the car and get started on this little drive. Lots more to talk about. When's the Senna going to be back on the road? What about the new cars? Plenty of more things to touch on, but in here, just to have a listen quickly to the exhaust system. Let's fire it into live. One press for the ignition. Take a little listen. Alright then, ready to enjoy the open road. You can probably hear that the fans are currently running in overdrive. It is quite warm out. It's getting to be quite a nice evening actually. And you might also notice I'm wearing one of the Shmi 150 Ford GT USA Tour t-shirts, available in the Shmi shop, link down below. But let's talk as we head out onto the roads about the McLarens. And I'm firstly going to touch a little bit actually on the 675 LT Spider. You might remember just before I departed for this trip, I said that the 675 was going to be going back to have its 3rd year service. That car is now 3 years old, which is crazy. So in the UK, when it gets to 3 years, it's got to have an MOT, the 3rd year service, a warranty extension, and it had to have a realignment of the rear wing. It was sitting slightly unnaturally, not quite sure why, but that's all being fixed obviously under warranty. So I dropped the car off. That's been with McLaren for a couple of weeks since it was picked up, but it's actually going to be back, I think, quite soon, before I get home at least. But the one, as we come back out in towards the sunshine, that probably you would all like to know about is what is happening with the McLaren Senna. When am I going to get the Senna back in the garage? And I'm probably receiving this question from you guys many times every single day. Long story short is that it is clearly a big thing that has to, this is really cool, a big thing that has to be done. It needs a new door, a new fender, some new smaller parts like the door mirror, the end plate, and these aren't parts that just sit around. They don't have them ready and waiting. That's the big problem. So something like the door actually has to be manufactured specifically for my car, and that unfortunately takes a a couple of months. It's going to be, well, they're telling me the repair maybe back in my hands in October, November. I'm saying to myself November, December. I'm not rushing it. I want to make sure it's perfect. That's the most important thing. It sucks that it happened. It sucks that I can't drive it when I get back to the UK after this trip. But you know, for the moment, I'm here in the GT. I'm very lucky to still be able to do this, to still be able to enjoy this car, particularly driving on roads like this. And we're going to talk more about why I haven't driven it everywhere later on. So the Senna will be back, and when I get it back, it will be better than ever. It will be in perfect condition. It will go to MSO to make sure that everything is correctly calibrated and that it's built to as new standards. That's important to me, that that car is given back and delivered back exactly as it was built. You can imagine with a car of this value, this nature, it's very, very important. So we've been kind of discussing it. My insurer has been immensely supportive. Everybody working on the car has been really helpful. It took a while to create the plan. It's not like a small repair where you just take it into a dealership and they have spare parts, spare bumpers or whatever it may be sitting around. They had to do a lot of basically drawing up almost a business plan for how it was going to be looked after, and they've helped me a load with that. Big props to McLaren. Really, everybody at the company has been wonderful in terms of the support that they've offered and making sure that it's going to be done exactly as we need it to be. Anyway, while I'm concentrating and talking to you guys, I haven't really been talking or focusing on the road that we've got in front of us, which is the perfect place to drive, just meandering backwards and forwards, following another car, but all the tight turns, decent tarmac, and this car able to make some noise from that new exhaust system. What a place to be driving. So that, I think, is all I can say on the McLarens for now. Maybe when I get back to the UK, I'll be able to give you a bit more of an update about the Senna. Maybe I can go and see it. It's going to be a couple more weeks. But for the time being, the LT's on its way home. The Senna will be fixed, and I will have it back, and it will be perfect when it arrives back in the garage. Oh wow, so this road is called the Panoramic Highway, and look at that view, it's almost blindingly bright. Look down in front of us, my word, this is stunning. You can see why it's a place I love to drive, why I wanted to bring this car here. Oh, what a place to be driving. This is awesome. This is what I wanted to do with this car, drive it in places that are worth driving. And this is definitely one of those. This is a place and a half to bring a car like this. Seriously, for a second, check out this view. What an incredible place. I told you it was going to open up. The roads are amazing. This car, especially in the sunshine, looks the absolute part. I enjoy having it here so much you wouldn't believe. But let's talk about the other Shmeemobiles, new cars on the horizon. So I've talked a lot about the Toyota Gr Supra, the new Supra, the 5th generation Supra, and I'm very jealous of TheStradman already having his launch edition car here in the USA. The UK and Euro launch editions are literally on the horizon now. There are only going to be 90 of them in total, as opposed to the 1,500 launch editions in the US. Over in Europe, they're very, very rare. I'm very lucky that I've got my name down for one of those, and that's what my car is going to be, in the satin grey. You've still got the red leather interior, black wheels, a few unique things about the car. It is due literally in the coming weeks. I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that when I land back in the UK after the Frankfurt Motor Show, because of course I'm going to be here in the US, then go to the Frankfurt Motor Show, the IAA, I'm hoping that when I get back to the UK, it's going to be ready to go straight away and pick it up. At least that's the dream. Let's hope that turns out to be reality. Now, the other new car that is immediately on the horizon is the Mercedes-AMG GTR Pro. So at this moment, I do actually still own my Rentec GTR, the original one that I've had for 2 years and done so much with along the way. The market is pretty slow, it has to be said. I think a lot of people are experiencing this with many different types of cars. But basically, the the reaction you get parking a Ford GT at the side of the road. The market basically for supercars right now, particularly in the UK, isn't really moving very quickly. Of course, if anybody's out there, get in touch. Maybe that car is available at the moment. So the Pro is coming, hopefully, in October. So I get back, well, we're talking mid-September. The GTR Pro should only be a couple of weeks after that. Now, I do have a few other trips in the works, so I'm not sure when I'll actually be able to pick it up, but it is super exciting that both the Gr Supra and the AMG GTR Pro are both going to be ready to go into action as soon as I get back home. The Senna might not be there by then, but those two will be ready and set, which is going to be incredibly good fun. Thinking then about the other cars in the garage, and I do have something that I need to tell you guys in a moment. So the two cars that are currently being driven by other people, the AMG G63, as intended, we took that over, well, I say we, it wasn't me of course, but the car was driven over to Germany, where my girlfriend now has it in Frankfurt. It's been spotted a few times on the Autobahn, which is quite fun. And also the Ferrari GTC 4 Lusso is still with my dad. That was always the plan all along, because back when I had the FF, he loved that as a car, so I decided that given I was going to be away for a while, he would drive the GTC 4 Lusso while I was gone. And some of you have seen him driving that as well, and are confused why it's not me. Well, I'm out here about 5,500 miles away from home where the car is. The other cars then, well, we've got the Vantage GT8 and the Heritage RS. Both of those are parked up in the storage at the moment, I think sitting under their covers on their tyre cushions. Of course, they're not going to be used or driven or anything while I'm away. And that covers pretty much everything with the exception of the Jimny. Now, I do need to tell you guys something. I am afraid to say that I have sold the Jimny. It has gone, it now has a new owner, it is no longer mine. And I know some of you are going to be really disappointed, but let me tell you a little bit about this, because I was thinking about some tuning projects and big plans with the car, but basically a friend of a good friend of mine was interested in it, and I know that I don't have very much more time in the UK in the rest of this year at all, and I've got both the GTR Pro and the Supra coming, plus a few more cars coming. There are actually like a handful of cars coming before Christmas, so I just wasn't really going to use it. I don't have enough spaces, I don't have enough time to be able to deal with everything, and the Jimny actually was supposed to have come way back in January. It ended up coming in May, so with that delayed delivery, it kind of messed all of my plans. Obviously, I'm thinking about spaces and about what I'm going to do and about what I'm going to film as well, so it just didn't work out, and I thought long and hard about it. I thought, does this make sense? But at the end of the day, I loved it, but I wasn't really going to have the time to drive it again. I would have loved to have had more fun with it before the G63 came. I talked a bit about how the Jimny was delayed, the G63 came a little bit earlier than expected, and the result of that was the two cars, and I thought maybe we could make the Mini G before the G63, but it wasn't possible to get the Mini G body kit in the UK until about now, so obviously with me being away, that means it couldn't have even been done until September or October, and I would have loved to have done that way back in February or March. So sometimes these things just have a strange way of being. I didn't intend it. I would have loved to play around with it more, but ultimately the Jimny has departed for the Supra to come in, the A45 to come in, the M8 competition to come in, and the GTR swaps to the GTR Pro. So if you think about it on balance, I think we're better off this way. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was a bit more to do with this car, and you'll notice I've been driving a little bit more slowly because we are following somebody who is on a leisurely Sunday stroll. Why not? That's a lot of what you do right on these kind of roads, the panoramic highway. Well, this car, I wanted to drive it on the roads that would be enjoyable, the roads that would matter, the roads that would be interesting, that I would remember, that I would basically go home and be like, yes, that was epic. And this, well, when given the opportunity to open up, has been one of those, rather than now where we're just kind of pootling along gently and cruising and it's all going very slowly. I mean, look at this view. Look at how this would be if it was open in front of us. In fact, maybe if I just back off a notch and let the car get ahead, we'll be able to play catch up for a moment. But basically, if you think about the Ford GT, there is no luggage space in here. If you look at the dashboard, there's no glove box here, there's no storage, there's nowhere to put anything. There's a trunk behind at the back of the engine bay, but it's minuscule. You can barely put anything in there. So this isn't a car that you can use to drive from one place to another, which basically meant that combined with the sheer number of miles in terms amount of distance from New York to Miami via all the stops and across to the West Coast and then back again, you do like 10,000 miles just sitting on highways, being bored on cruise control, not making interesting videos. Don't forget, while the car has been transported from city to city, I've been off filming other things, some pretty epic things in fact. I think while it was going from Miami to Los Angeles, I was off filming some Venenos, driving a Centenario, visiting a private car collection, seeing a lot of epic stuff which you've all hopefully enjoyed in the videos. But that meant that I kind of decided I need to be sensible with my mileage, keep it in check, use this car for the journeys that I actually wanted to do and transport it when I don't. So that's basically the answer why it's been being moved sometimes on the back of a truck rather than being driven absolutely everywhere, because it's just not a car to drive on normal boring routes. It's a car to savor the moments with and to enjoy, as I have done on Road Atlanta, up the Pacific Coast Highway, today on the Panoramic Highway, and many other spots along the way. And now that we've got a little bit more space in front of us, we can start to open it up a touch. He did not get far ahead for how gently I was driving, annoyingly. And there we go, the end of the fun. So what else have we done with the car? Well, of course, you might remember back when it got here, I had to have the tail lights sorted. One of the tail lights had gone wrong just the day before it was sent out. They fortunately, Ford were brilliant with that. They got a Euro spec tail light, which is amber rather than red, fitted in New York. Of course, we then changed the exhaust system, but basically there's not really that much else to talk about with the car. It's all running very, very well. No issues with the fuel. A few people have talked about that. Of course, a lot of people don't realise that here in the US, where you have 91 octane fuel, that's actually equivalent to 97 RON fuel in Europe. So it's actually basically the same, and this car, being American, is configured for octane fuel, and it makes no difference at all. So long as I put, I think 89 is what it requires, 95 in Europe into it, it's all happy. So no problems with the fuel, nothing I need to worry about. I will need to get some new tyres at some point. These ones are running pretty low, so I might go back to Galpin where we did the exhaust to have those sorted out. But generally speaking, the car, like I said, is running really, really well. Done some good miles in it already, had an amazing time with it, and not wasted the mileage. It's all been good miles. It's all been miles doing things as intended, except for one journey. We had to get from a hotel just outside of Atlanta to a different hotel by Road Atlanta, which is about an hour away. Wow, the view, just for a moment, just take a look at that view. Wow, wow, wow. And for that journey, we had 2 people in the car and luggage, all the luggage. So what we had to do was literally hire an Uber to take the luggage that we followed in the GT. I'm going to pull back in here, so that's quite funny how we had to make that work. I think we're going to have a most spectacular view in a second, just looking out over from here. Yeah, what a place. So basically, all's gone pretty well with the car, and exciting times are ahead. It's really when it's in light like this that the colour of the Ford GT just stands out so much. The liquid red, the pearlescence, the metallics, it is such a gorgeous colour. I'm very, very happy with the spec of this still and these views. This location where I'm driving right now, what a heavenly day out to use this car over here in the US. I know I said it at the beginning, but it is still crazy to me that this is the car that's so familiar from home, but so surreal given where we actually are. I know it's a long, 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 long way from home, but this is still the early stages. I'm thinking at the moment about a part 2, about continuing this trip and doing more with the car after I go back to Europe. So coming back out and doing some more over here. So hopefully I'm going to be able to make that work, going back across the country, visiting a lot of places that I wasn't able to stop this time around. So Las Vegas, Phoenix, Austin, Houston, maybe up to Chicago, Detroit, maybe back to Florida. So much more to see in Miami and Orlando as well. Maybe we can go back to New York as well. There's more to do up there. But exciting times, as I said, coming back home at the end of this tour where the GTR Pro and the Supra are both going to be just about ready to arrive. But this is, it's a dream still. It's a complete and utter dream, and I can only thank you guys for making all of this possible and for supporting so much of the journey up to this stage. There's been a lot going on. I think I've put out pretty much a video every single day, if not on average more than one per day, but there's still plenty more to come as well. So that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, I appreciate your support, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Cheers!